making headlines this hour. The Supreme Court rules that the constitutional amendment stripping members of parliament of their seats if they defect from or are expelled by their political party is not unconstitutional. The parliament approves 14 ministers who were sworn in after recent changes to the cabinet by President Dr. Mohammad Muiz. The Maldives Media and Broadcasting Commission formalizes its regulatory boundaries, explicitly stating that it lacks jurisdiction to intervene in active criminal investigation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Idham Naeem. In a landmark verdict with profound implications for the nation's political landscape, the Supreme Court rules that the constitutional amendment stripping members of parliament of their seats if they defect from or are expelled by their political party is not unconstitutional.
The ruling was delivered in response to a petition filed by former MP Ali Hussain, who sought to have the anti-defection amendment declared invalid. Ali Hussain had argued that the provision was contrary to Articles 26, 75 and 90 of the Constitution and would disrupt the country's three-party presidential system. The main opposition party, the Maldivian Democratic Party, also intervened in the case. Delivering the majority opinion of the full bench, Chief Justice Abdul Ghani Mohammed firmly rejected these arguments. He stated that Parliament possesses the sovereign power to amend the Constitution and found that such an amendment is consistent with the rule of law and aligns with the norms of independent democracies worldwide. The Supreme Court ruled that Parliament has the power to amend the Constitution, and the court believes that such an amendment is not against the rule of law in accordance with the norms of independent democracies. The Chief Justice stated that there is no rule to declare the amendment to the Constitution invalid without constitutional authority. In his detailed opinion, the Chief Justice referenced court decisions on anti-defection laws from a variety of governing systems, including presidential and parliamentary models. He also noted that a similar law has been passed in the Maldives in 2017 and was previously upheld as valid by the Supreme Court. He concluded that the amendment would apply to the current 20th Parliament. The Chief Justice's opinion was supported by 6 other judges on the bench. However, the ruling was not unanimous. In a dissenting opinion, Justice Aisha Sujun Mohammed argued that the amendment should be repealed. Justice Sujun found that MPs are elected based on their individual merit and should be empowered to prioritize the interest of their constituents above all else, even if it means leaving their party.
Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises Musa Zamir says the government is assessing 2 locations in the Greater Male region to establish a fuel reserve for long-term storage.
Speaking at a press briefing held by the crisis committee formed in response to global economic uncertainties, particularly those linked to instability in the Middle East, Minister Zamir said efforts are underway in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Economic Development and State Trading Organization STO to establish a national fuel reserve. He noted that ongoing disruptions in global markets, especially in the Middle East, are causing fluctuations in fuel prices and making supply more difficult. As a result, the government has decided to establish a fuel reserve to better prepare for such sudden changes. At the press conference held at the President's office, Minister Zamir explained that the project will be implemented in 3 phases. Work is currently focused on identifying suitable locations, including 2 sites in the Male area. Surveys of these sites are expected to begin next week. He added that a final plan, including design work, financing options, and feasibility studies will be prepared and submitted to the President. Further progress will be based on decisions made thereafter. Referring to India as a country with established fuel storage system, the minister said that once the Maldives establishes its own reserve, a portion will be secured for national use, while any excess could potentially be leased. The planned reserve is intended to store fuel sufficient for 1 year. The project will be carried out under a 5-year plan, with Phase 1 expected to be completed within 2 years. Currently, Fuel imported into the Maldives is stored at Funadu near Malé. This terminal supplies diesel and petrol to public services, resorts, and private parties. Its storage capacity is 291,000 tons of diesel and 59,000 tons of petrol. In addition, jet fuel for Velana International Airport and other airports in the Maldives is supplied by STO.
Minister of Economic Development, Transport and Trade Mohammed Said has said that more than 2,500 containers currently held up in Sri Lanka will be brought to the Maldives next week. Minister Said made these remarks while speaking at a press briefing held at the President's office. He explained that in response to changes in global shipping routes, Maldives Ports Limited MPL has been undertaking extensive efforts to ease difficulties in importing goods to the Maldives. As a result of these efforts, the burden on cargo transportation is expected to reduce. The minister further noted that due to disruptions in the Middle East, more than 2,500 containers are currently delayed in Sri Lanka and are expected to be transported to the Maldives next week. In addition, Minister Said highlighted trade statistics, noting that compared to previous years, imports to the Maldives have increased by between 19% and 20% so far this year. He also stated that the price index for staple food items rose by 1.95% in March compared to the same period last year. According to the data, among staple food categories, the largest price decreases have been recorded in fruits and vegetables. Vegetable prices have fallen by 5%, while fruit prices have declined by 15.56% overall compared to last year. The Parliament approves 14 ministers who were sworn in after recent changes to the cabinet by President Dr. Mohamed Moizu.
The approvals were granted after the Parliament's Government Oversight Committee reviewed and endorsed the nominees submitted by the President for parliamentary consent. The cabinet reshuffle was made out on 14th and 15th April, reducing the number of ministerial portfolios from 20 to 15. As part of the restructuring, 10 ministers resigned, stating that the move was intended to provide greater flexibility for institutional reforms. Following the changes, President Moise appointed 5 new ministers, while 9 members of the previous cabinet were reappointed to portfolios that has been restructured. Under the Constitution, ministers appointed after cabinet changes must receive approval from the People's Majlis before exercising full legal authority. The Parliament conducted the approval process through separate votes for each nominee. The approved ministers include Hassan Rashid as Minister of Defence and National Security, Musa Zamir as Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises, Ali Ihsan as Minister of Homeland Security, Labour and Technology, and Irutisham Adam as Minister of Foreign Affairs. Other ministers approved include Dr. Ismail Shafiu as Minister of Education, Higher Education and Skills Development, Gila Ali as Minister of Health, Family and Welfare, Mohammad Saeed as Minister of Economic Development, Transport and Trade, and Ahmad Shiam as Minister of Fisheries, Agriculture and Ocean Resources. The list also includes Dr. Muhammad Shahim Ali Saeed as Minister of Islamic Affairs and Endowment, Muhammad Amin as Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation, Abdullah Rafiu as Minister of Youth Empowerment, Sports and Fitness, Hina Walid as Minister of Arts, Culture and Heritage, Dr. Abdullah Muttalib as Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, and Ali Sharif as Minister of Climate Change, Environment and Energy.
The Minister of Islamic Affairs and Endowments, Dr. Muhammad Shahim Ali Said, says the Maldives National University, MNU, is achieving significant academic progress and scaling new heights with a great diligence. The minister's remarks were delivered during the MNU graduation ceremony, where he addressed the new graduates on the profound purpose of education and the path ahead. Minister Shahim rooted his message in Islamic principles, stating that the core purpose of knowledge is to foster critical thinking. He highlighted that numerous verses in the Holy Quran urge humanity to ponder and reflect the pursuit of justice. Emphasizing the sanctity of intellect in Islam, the minister noted that protecting the human mind is one of the 5 highest objectives of Islamic Sharia, which expressly forbids anything that harms it. Offering practical advice for the graduates' future careers, Minister Shaheen counseled diligence and patience. He advised that while the most desirable job may not be immediately available, starting from the bottom provides invaluable experience, advocating for a grounded and resilient approach to professional life. The minister also called upon the graduates to remain compassionate and to maintain a close lifelong connection with their alma mater. Concluding this address, Minister Shaheen encouraged the graduating class to face life's inevitable challenges with unwavering persistence and courage, underscoring that the knowledge they have acquired is the foundational tool for building a just and successful future. The Maldives Media and Broadcasting Commission formalizes its regulatory boundaries, explicitly stating it lacks a jurisdiction to intervene in active criminal investigations.
This clarification, issued following controversy regarding a documentary recently published by a local online outlet, stipulates that administrative actions against media organizations will proceed only after a transparent inquiry. To streamline oversight, the Commission established a regulatory framework to address grievances concerning published materials. This codified structure allows entities to lodge formal complaints directly with the body, which follows protocols outlined in disciplinary measures for journalists and broadcasters. Saniya Hussain, the Commission's senior legal officer, detailed these procedures during a program aired on PSM News. She added that any disciplinary measures would be proportionate to the severity of the violation and emphasized that action would only be taken after a thorough investigation. Under these protocols, the Commission must deliver a ruling within a 30-day window. While committed to administrative oversight, the Commission delineated that it cannot oversee investigations managed by the Maldives Police Service. It underscored that press freedom remains a constitutional liberty it is legally mandated to safeguard.
New regulations to accredit journalists covering public gatherings is instituted by the Maldives Media and Broadcasting Commission MBBS, an initiative the body described as a move to safeguard press freedom and ensure reporter safety in volatile environments.
The regulatory framework, the Media Commission stated, was developed to uphold the constitutional mandate of a free press while managing coverage of events governed by the Freedom of Peaceful Assembly Act. These guidelines establish a formalized accreditation procedure designed to provide equal opportunity for media personnel and to secure vital protection and cooperation from state security forces during civic assemblies. Journalists reporting on demonstrations will be afforded the broadest possible avenues to fulfill their professional duties, the Commission observed. Successfully credentialed members of the press are to receive specific privileges, including dedicated protection from security forces, authorized access to volatile areas, and streamlined requests for information from law enforcement agencies. The framework categorizes these credentials into distinct time-bound tiers to organize the press corps. Local media representatives will receive accreditation valid for 1 year. The regulations stipulate while independent freelance journalists are eligible for 6-month terms. Correspondents for international media outlets will be granted 3-month credentials. The new standards, the Media Commission noted, will significantly alleviate the operational burdens faced by journalists covering the diverse array of public demonstrations organized by various groups and parties across the country.
The Maldives Media and Broadcasting Commission establishes a 6-month deadline for all operating news outlets and magazines to update registration records, marking a transition under a new regulatory framework.
Following the enactment of the Maldives Media and Broadcasting Regulation Act, the Commission has assumed plenary authority over a media registry that had historically shifted between various government ministries. To operationalize this authority, the Commission has published guidelines categorizing media into 4 classifications: newspapers, magazines, newsletters, and journals. These rules extend to digital distribution, encompassing websites, social media, application, and electronic media. While the statute permits businesses and cooperatives to register new publications, it explicitly exempts internal materials produced solely for specific locales or private staff. The regulatory body mandates that new applications receive an official response within 30 days. Outlets must appoint an official editor and a designated responsible party, both of whom must meet specific statutory qualifications. Registration remains valid for 5 years, though the Commission will automatically revoke credentials for any publication, ceasing operations for 12 consecutive months. A significant provision now permits outlets to charge excess fees, though this remains strictly contingent upon prior regulatory authorization. All existing organizations must submit updated records via designated forms within 6 months of the regulation's publication in the Government Gazette. Failure to comply will result in the immediate cancellation of registrations, and outlets must further submit annual operational reports to avoid institutional fines, the framework stipulates.
Chief Executive Officer of the Mali City Group of Hospitals, Ibrahim Abdulrazak Halim, highlights a growing gap between the number of trained nurses and those entering and remaining in the profession.
The CEO directly linked a sufficient specialized and stable nursing workforce to higher quality healthcare and increased public confidence in the entire health system. He noted that nurses are fundamental to creating a satisfying and compassionate patient experience from admission to discharge. Abdullah Razzaq called for a renewed focus on professional development, pointing out that a few nurses pursue specialization after their initial degree. He identified the lack of optimal use of vocational training opportunities as a major challenge for the profession's development. As the government plans new healthcare facilities, including a hospital in Vilimale, the CEO expressed his firm desire to see these future accomplishments realized by a robust local cadre of doctors and nurses, urging all nursing professionals to resolve to specialize and enhance their skills.
Chief Executive Officer of the Mali City Group of Hospitals, Ibrahim Abdulrazak Halim, says efforts are underway to strengthen the electrical capacity of hospitals in the Greater Mali region.
He told PSM News, the current setup remains constrained, with backup electricity directed exclusively towards the most essential departments. The necessity of the upgrade is tied to a rapid modernization of the regional healthcare system. Clinical and technological advancement at IGMH have resulted in a significant surge in electrical consumption over the past 2 years. It has become imperative to expand backup capacity and replace legacy equipment to meet modern standards. Beyond flagship institutions, efforts are underway to address infrastructure challenges at other government-operated facilities throughout the Greater Mali region. Following high-level consultations between utility and healthcare stakeholders, administrators are now prioritizing these improvements to ensure these essential medical services can be delivered without disruption. Hospital officials said because unexpected interruptions significantly impede clinical care, the upgrades are being fast-tracked to guarantee safety of the substantial volume of citizens seeking treatment daily.
Spirit Airlines discussions over a potential $500 million government rescue financing have hit an impasse, Bloomberg News reports, citing sources.
A group of lenders, including hedge fund Citadel, is pushing back against proposed terms that could significantly erode the value of their claims and limit recoveries, the report said, adding that the group has made a counter-proposal in recent days that has gone unanswered. Reuters could not immediately verify the report. Spirit and Citadel did not immediately respond to Reuters' requests for comment. The news on Spirit's rescue financing hitting a roadblock comes hours after a report said the airline had won the backing of two of its three major creditor groupings to secure a bailout. U.S. President Donald Trump said last week his administration was looking at buying the embattled airline at the right price. If all the Spirit creditor groups agree on the bailout deal, a New York federal bankruptcy court hearing could be held on Thursday.
Satellite imagery showed thick black smoke caused by a major fire rising from a Russian oil refinery in the city of Tuapse after what officials said was a Ukrainian drone attack.
It was the third attack on the Black Sea port in less than 2 weeks. Ukraine's military confirmed it had carried out the strike, the latest in a series designed to disrupt Russia's oil industry and slash revenue that helps Moscow fund the war in Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin described the attack as evidence of increased Ukrainian attacks on civilian targets in comments broadcast on Russian television. He added, the latest example is the strikes against energy facilities in Tuapse, which could potentially cause serious environmental consequences. The Tuapse refinery has an annual production capacity of about 12 million metric tons, or 240,000 barrels per day, turning out naphtha, diesel, fuel oil, and vacuum gas oil.
A first-half header from Sergei Milinkovic-Savic proves to be the only difference between Al Hilal and Damak in the Saudi Pro League.
The Serbian international nodded in from point-blank range in the 18th minute with France's Theo Hernandez providing the cross. The visitors thought they had a chance to equalize just shy of the 1-hour mark when Valentin Vada took the ball past Bono, only to be tripped up by the Moroccan goalkeeper's outstretched leg, but their appeals fell on deaf ears. The 1-0 win sees Simone Inzaghi's side, unbeaten in the league, cut the deficit with leaders Al Nassr back down to 5 points, while Damak remain locked in a relegation battle, sitting 3 points above safety in 15th.
Conservation charity ZSL, the Zoological Society of London, says it plans to open a new wildlife health centre where visitors will be able to watch veterinary procedures live.
ZSL made the announcement as it marked its 200th anniversary, saying the new £20 million centre to be built at ZSL's UK headquarters at Regent's Park, where London Zoo is based, would give visitors the chance to see everything from penguin health checks to porpoise post-mortems. Founded in 1826, ZSL opened the world's first scientific zoo in 1828 in Regent's Park. The charity, which employed the world's first zoo vet in 1829 and built Europe's first multi-purpose zoo vet hospital 70 years ago, also offers postgraduate training and courses for wildlife veterinarians and conservation scientists. ZSL said building the new center was possible thanks to the most significant donation to the global conservation charity in its 200-year history.
That concludes news for now. Thank you for watching PSM News. Have a good day ahead.